name's Payton. What I do is I'm entering into real estate right now, and star sign is an Aquarius. Online dating is very prominent. So many of the people we swipe left on dating apps, we would have totally entertained if we met them in person. Men who are uncomfortable with vulnerability, communication, you know, they like to keep people at arm's length. Like they usually just people that want situationships. Initial attraction absolutely matters. Like, you must be attracted to your partner, but that's not all of it. If you want something sustainable, you kind of have to see through that game of, you know, it goes back to the vanity. When you're choosing a partner, you have to accept them as they are, or else that becomes an unstable relationship. I don't believe in soulmates. There are millions of fish in the sea, but maybe there's nobody for me. He definitely treated her the worst. I don't know if I have a perfect date. I think like default first date is usually like coffee. If you invest in something, like, you might get a little emotionally invested. And I think if, you know, the date doesn't work out and they spent X amount of money, there might be expectations for a second one. And I think it would be pretty disappointing. You could cheat emotionally and you can cheat physically.
So if a guy has 5'5".
Welcome to Unattainable. Glad to have you with us. I'm your host, Zach Evans, here with my co-host, Mohammed Molay. And today we got a special guest for you guys on the show. This is Peyton. Peyton, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, your name, what you do, and your star sign.
Okay, name. My name's Payton. What I do is I'm entering into real estate right now, and star sign is an Aquarius.
Aquarius.
We
know all about Aquarius, yeah.
Must know more than I do.
You guys are very fun, but a little bit dangerous.
Dangerous in what way?
Wait, dangerous.
Well, because I'm intrigued. Wait.
Yeah. Just like bad for my mental health.
Okay.
You know,
okay. So this is all based on personal experience. I told Mo stop inviting
toxic people onto our show, and he just keeps doing it. I don't know
well, here I am.
All right, cool. So first question, dating in Southern California. You're not from LA, but you're from the area-ish.
Yes.
What has your experience been like? People have said it's the hardest place in the world to date. There's sociopaths, there's narcissists, there's fake people, there's celebrities. What's your experience been like so far?
It's been a roller coaster. I'm not going to lie. I think online dating is very prominent, and I think that a lot of people gravitate towards, you know, dating apps as their main source of meeting people, which I think is part of the problem. I think on dating apps we're met with an array of personalities, and more often than not, they are the more toxic of the of the people out there.
I agree. Okay, what dating apps were you using?
I was on Hinge. I felt like Tinder was more hookup oriented.
People think
Hinge was in the middle, it seemed.
It's the same pool of losers on both.
That's what I
All
found.
the dudes who download Tinder are like, wait, girls think Hinge is the classy one. Let me get on Hinge too. You got to get in like Christian Mingle, Match.com. That's where the good guys are. Yeah.
I was recommended a couple weeks ago because I've been off the apps for a while.
Okay.
I was recommended. It's called Jew Date. I'm not Jewish, but on the app, I'm Jewish.
You want to find a rich guy. Gotcha.
I did not find anybody.
Did
not find anybody.
It was
like
she's
left.
Crazy. All right. So what was your experience on Hinge like?
It was certainly eventful. There were not as many catfishes as I expected. I met a lot of wonderful people. A lot of them I just was not romantically compatible with. Okay. But I definitely made a lot of friends through the app.
Okay.
But it's kind of a game because, you know, you run into a lot of people who have an avoidant attachment style, and those are often the ones who entertain something in the beginning, and then they just hop back in that dating pool for the instant gratification of like swipe, match, perfect, you know, validated.
Do you think it's that they have an avoidant attachment style, or do you think they're just dudes who are trying to get laid more? You know what I mean?
I think those can go hand in hand. I think people, it's certainly not right to say that they all have an avoidant attachment style. You know, I think emotional unavailability, though, does go hand in hand with having an avoidant attachment style or a more avoidant attachment style. But I totally think it's possible that a lot of them are just looking for something casual and they are just maybe wanting to get laid.
Here's my opinion on the apps. I think the issue isn't that there's not good guys on the apps. It's the guys who know how to get attention on the apps, whether they know how to take good pictures or they know how to message right, they know all this stuff. Those are the guys that you like because they know how to do all this stuff. But that's also the guys that every other girl likes because they know how to do this stuff, which means they have tons of girls hitting them up. And then the guy you swiped left on are like, oh, he's boring in messages. That was the good guy, but you passed up on him because he's boring.
What's funny, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but it's the fact that so many of the people we swipe left on dating apps, we would have totally entertained if we met them in person.
Yeah.
You know, and we weren't judging them just based off of a couple of photos that they'd taken.
Like if you met him in the wild.
Yeah.
If you met him in the wild, you'd be like, okay, it's on.
You're like, yeah, you don't see like 5'10", you know, like from here. Like, this is my age.
Like,
this is
he's
what
funny,
I look like.
And like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and he's compassionate and he's confident. And, you know, that's what you see. You see past, like, you know, the vanity.
So then would you say, because, okay, if you meet guys on the apps, you met up with them because you thought they were attractive. Otherwise, you wouldn't have swiped on them.
100%.
But then it sounds like you're saying you're friend zoning a lot of these guys. So is it safe to say you're more attracted to personality than looks?
Absolutely. I mean, I think initial attraction absolutely matters. Like, you must be attracted to your partner, but that's not all of it. You know, you could be the most attractive guy in the world and have the worst personality, and because of that, you know, maybe we're not compatible.
And what was it about these guys' personalities that made you friend zone them?
Sometimes demeanor, sometimes, you know, their ability to be personal. It could be confidence. Hobbies might not necessarily align. Values, I think, was probably the biggest one, just underlying values that didn't align with each other. And then I think I've definitely been deterred from emotionally unavailable men.
Interesting.
What do you mean by emotionally unavailable men?
I just mean men who are uncomfortable with vulnerability, communication. You know, they like to keep people at arm's length. Like, they usually just people that want situationships.
How old did you say you are?
I'm 20.
You're 20. Okay. How many relationships have you had?
Relationships, probably one that I kind of classify as a relationship. We met on Hinge. Gorgeous man. Gorgeous.
1 for 20. Let's go.
Tall, muscular, foreign. We ended up being together for about 7 months, but it was...
When was this?
This was maybe like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Okay. So you were 18.
Yeah. I was 18. I think he was like 23.
Okay. So you dated from 18 to 19-ish.
Ish. Yeah. But it was good. You know, it started out great. He was very attentive. Seemed comfortable with communication. And then as time went on, the consistency started to slip. And, you know, I would communicate needs. I would be met with, I hear you. I see you. I appreciate you, you know, feeling comfortable telling me this. I want to do better because I know that must not feel good. And then like 4 days later, it would be back to the same thing. And I think it's funny because, you know, the stability of your home base, I think, has a very strong connection with security and confidence and what you're willing to accept from people. And I noticed that as my home base started to stabilize, I had less of a tolerance for that.
What do you mean?
Like less of a tolerance for...
No, the stabilization.
So me and my roommate, her name's Peyton as well. So 2 peas in the pod.
Have you ever seen New Girl?
Yes.
You remind me of New Girl.
Really.
2 peas in a pod.
2 peas in a pod. We moved in together, and it was wonderful, and it's been wonderful. And I think that just like having that independence and the safety of like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to come home, and I know it's going to be so fun and so good. I think that had a lot to do with my decision to end that situationship.
Interesting. Your birthday's coming up.
It is.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of friends?
I have a decent amount of friends.
Okay. Do you feel like it's easy for you to make connections?
Romantic or friendship?
Just in general.
I would say yes.
Okay. So what's the need for you to go on dating apps in order to meet guys?
I think it's more so a resource, because I find, it's funny because I will go out, and a lot of the time it's like if I put in the effort, like I'll connect with somebody in the wild, as you said. But on the flip side, I can't lie, the instant gratification on dating apps is wonderful. You just swipe, match. Oh my gosh, perfect. Like, it was that easy. I just had to sit down and spend 5 minutes on my phone, and now we have a date next week. Like, it's a very fun way to make plans quickly. But I think, so like that being said, it's a great tool, I think, and resource for dating, but I don't like it as, the only tool and resource for dating and meeting people.
It's interesting because what you said about the gratification aspect of it only applies to women, right?
How so?
Well, because you guys are the one that are getting chased versus you chasing, right? Like, with the exception of Bumble, where you have to do the first approach,
right?
All the other apps are the opposite, which means that they have to swipe on you, and majority of the time men are more inclined to swipe on more women versus women swiping more on men,
right?
Because you get to be more picky because you know that you are in this particular situation the prize, right? And so also when you do get the match, you're waiting for the other person to ask you on a date versus you setting up the date. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I do think it can go both ways, though.
How's that?
But like, I don't know, on Hinge, I have heard that Bumble is like the woman has to make the first move and reach out.
Yeah, but it's kind of bullshit because like every girl just does like the wave emoji, and then it's like you got to think of the creative, cool, funny thing to say anyway. So it's kind of like it's like the same thing, yeah.
On Hinge, it is definitely more of an even playing field. Like, anybody can reach out first, so long as you both swipe on each other.
Right, but how often do you? Okay, how many swipes? I don't really know how Hinge works, so explain to me. How many swipes do you get as a woman?
As many as you want.
Okay, is it the same thing for men? I don't think so.
I'm not sure.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can do them.
Or you
I haven't
have
done them in forever. I think you can do unlimited though. Maybe they update, you got to like pay or something to do more. But.
Yeah. I mean, I know for a fact that when men are swiping, right, there's this thing that somebody was telling me. They were like, I'm just swiping on every single person. They had like the membership, like they had like paid for the highest membership they had. And he was just like swiping on every single girl. And he was like, I'm just going to wait until to see like who swipes back and then set up the date. So I think it's just, I think women tend to be a lot more pickier on dating apps than men are, right?
Yeah.
Like I think if a guy is swiping, they're mostly looking at your pictures and, okay, is she good looking? Is she crazy or not? Right? That's like that's like the only criteria.
Though, it's dangerous because you can't tell,
Right.
from a person's profile.
You could every once in a while, and I'm generally, I'm speaking generally, obviously. There are guys that are probably nitpicking and going through, oh, like, does she have a job? Does she have this? And those guys are in a separate group and much smaller group. But majority of men, they don't have a ton of criteria. Whereas like as a woman, you're not just looking at how they look.
Right.
You're looking at their height. You're looking at their job. You're looking at, all the other things that might be compatible or not. And then deciding whether or not this person, qualifies.
Right.
So in that sense, I do think it's more difficult for men. But what would you say is the common denominator between the people that you've swiped on and went on dates with?
Just in general with all of them?
Yeah, is there something, or do you find that it's just all different types of people?
I would say all different types of people. Yeah, I haven't noticed any like very distinct similarities or differences between all of them. It's more just, meeting a stranger.
Okay, so you don't particularly have a specific criteria of a type of person you're looking for.
Was that your question, my type?
Sure.
I would say, the people I've gone out with, I find generally attractive. And usually we text for a little bit before I go out with them just to see if, one, can they communicate? Do they have basic communication skills? Can they keep a conversation going? Is there banter? Do we have anything in common? Like, is there a reason for us to go hang out? Will there be substance behind us going out on a date?
So that usually is what convinces you.
Yeah.
If somebody's capable of keeping a good conversation going.
I would say so.
What's the craziest experience you've had as far as Hinge dates are concerned?
Wow.
Or any online app dates?
There was this one man that I was going out with over the summer. He was a little bit older, but I was intrigued. It was, we had good conversation, whatnot. We hung out. It went well. We were seeing each other for like maybe a month and a half. And we saw each other really frequently. It was like 3 times a week at least. He always seemed available. And then towards the end, I checked my Instagram DM requests for some reason. And there was this random spam account that was like, hey, I know you've been going out with, we'll call him Ned, and then said his address. I just wanted to let you know he's going out with like 5 other girls, all young. One of them he had been seeing for like 2 years. Another one he'd been going out with for like 6 months, met the family. They had plans to move in together. So he was just like,
play in the field.
But
do you know that DM was legit?
Yeah, she was one of the girls.
Okay.
But they had met. Their relationship was more casual, and I guess he talked about all of the other girls to this one, and he would like, whatever girls were like sending him photos, he would show to this girl, and it was bizarre. Absolutely bizarre.
Wait, why is it bizarre?
All of it was so bizarre. I mean, to the extent of which he would play these women, to go out with somebody for 2 years and lead them to believe that you're exclusive and that you have a future together.
This is coming from the girl that reached out to you?
Yeah, and we ended up connecting with all of the other girls, and we were like all on a group FaceTime. Like, oh my God.
Oh, so you verified everything.
Oh, we verified. We verified.
Okay. Let me get this straight. So this girl, let's call her Ashley. Ashley comes and DMs you and says, hey, Peyton, I'm so-and-so and I'm seeing Alex, whatever. And Alex has been with me for 2 years?
This wasn't the girl that reached out to me.
A different girl was the one.
A different girl, but we ended up getting on the phone call, and she was like, I've been going out with him for 2.5 years.
Okay, so one of the girls you guys got in touch with, he had been going out with for 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And she had thought that they were together exclusively.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And so during the time when this guy was seeing her, he started dating all these other 4 girls.
Right.
Okay. And do every single one of these girls live in the same place?
2 of them, he lives in Laguna Beach, and 2 of them were in Laguna Beach, which was shocking because it's a very small beach city.
Sure.
I was like, that's bold. One of them was in Long Beach. I was in San Clemente.
Got it. So kind of like within the same sort of area.
Right.
And you live in
San Clemente.
Okay, got it. And so interesting. So then what happened with the girl that he'd been seeing for 2 years?
She just ghosted him.
So did every single one of the girls? do the same?
Yeah, I don't think anybody confronted him.
So he went from having 5
Or as
chicks
far
on
as-
the roster to just
Or as far
nothing.
as you know.
So why is nobody texting me back?
Well, you already know he just replaced us in a second.
Yeah, probably. Or one of the girls on the call was like, finally, I got my competition out of the way. Now it's
That's
just
true.
me. It could have been that too.
was all hers.
Was he rich?
He had a little bit of money. He wasn't like
Little bit of money?
obnoxiously rich.
Okay.
He had very nice cars.
Comfortable.
Yeah, comfortable.
Got it. And he's good looking.
He's good.
How old is
looking.
he?
He's like 40.
What's his hesitation? Is that the oldest you've dated?
About, yeah.
What's the oldest you've dated?
He's probably like 45.
Okay. What's the oldest you would date?
Oh, that's so hard to say. I feel like generally probably 45.
45. Okay, so you would date somebody who's 40. So you're 20 years old and you would date somebody who's 25 years older than you.
If the connection was there,
Got it. Why don't you have a problem with that?
I just think age has never bothered me. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's more, every situation's unique. And I think what matters more is how you connect as people, you know, what their personality is.
What do you say to people who would suggest that your frontal lobe has not been developed yet and you don't know what the fuck you're doing and that 25 years age difference would be because the person is going to want to manipulate you and control you?
I'd say that certainly happens, you know, and I would obviously use my best judgment. But I think in terms of the frontal lobe developing, you know, if it develops and things change, then I hop out. But, you know, I am an adult and I make adult decisions and I have confidence in the decisions I make.
Okay.
It's interesting. So I used to have a company in the modeling industry.
Okay.
And we used to call something, we called it hot guy phase, because like the new models, 18, 19, 20 coming into the industry would always be dating some young hot guy, TikTok hair, little dangly earring. Like they were like clones of each other. Like it was like they all looked the same. But like the most beautiful girls, and I like to use this as a barometer because the most beautiful girls are the one who have access to anybody they want, right?
Right.
They would always be dating by the time they were 21, 22, some like random looking dude, like some dude that like if you dropped off your UPS package, you'd be like, okay, cool. Like, thanks. You know what I mean? But they would always be extremely successful or ambitious or mature.
Okay.
And almost always 10 to 20 years older. And it was just interesting seeing that like, oh, so the girls who could have anybody they want, even by the time they're 21, 22, are already not going for like the, 21-year-old with a six pack. They're going for some like successful guy. So it was just interesting, like seeing that play out over and over.
Yeah. It is interesting, but I think, if you want something sustainable, you kind of have to see through that game of, it goes back to the vanity.
Mm-hmm.
I think so many of us date for looks, and I think, that there aren't really much, there isn't much ground beneath that. I think you more so have to go for that connection. And, if you're mature, are they mature? Mm-hmm. If you value success and you value your career, are they successful? Are they ambitious? Are they determined? Mm-hmm. They're much more important things, mm-hmm. That outlive the looks of somebody, mm-hmm. Because one day they're not going to look like that anymore. But what is the foundation? Mm-hmm. What is going to last?
The other thing is a lot of girls will say like, oh, I want to date somebody because like he's not successful yet, but like he's going to be. And I'm like, I never understood. Okay, have you ever heard of this thing called HelloFresh?
Yes, I have.
So they scammed me one time. I bought like the biggest meal package because it's like cheaper per meal or whatever. Uh-huh. Comes in the mail. I open up the first one, and it's not even cooked. It's just like the ingredients in there. Open up the second one, just the ingredients, right? So I call support. I'm like, hey, like you guys forgot to cook my meals, and they're like, no, that's how it works. You have to cook it yourself. I was like, so I'm paying for meal delivery. I gotta cook it? Like that doesn't make any sense. So like when girls are like, oh, I dated this guy for potential or something, I'm like, there's already guys who are cooked. They're already steak, mashed potatoes. You can just try it and see if you like it versus like some ingredients that like might be good, maybe.
Right.
But like, why would you risk it on the maybe when there's like the sure thing already out there?
I think, possibilities are endless, but I think you have to look past that and just kind of go, like, I don't know. I think the way that women approach dating is so interesting sometimes, because we do opt for potential and we opt for hope and we put people on pedestals, because of that. But you have to, when you're choosing a partner, you have to accept them as they are, or else that becomes an unstable relationship, because your future depends on whether or not they become successful. And I think that's just not the right way to approach dating.
Yeah, I think there's a mix, but I lean heavily toward like people aren't going to change. They're just not. Like people think, oh, I'm going to change him. He's going to be different. He's going to be different with me. Like, nah. Like a lot of times it's funny. Girls will come in here and be like, oh yeah, like I don't like these kind of guys and these kind of guys and these kind of guys. And then we start talking to them and like their last 5 exes are like exactly that. Like they're like, oh, I don't care about like status and clout. I just care about like a connection. It's like, oh, we start talking. It's like, yeah, my last ex was like an NBA player. The other one was like this famous musician. I don't want to say his name. I'm like, it sounds like you like clout and status, whether you like want to admit it to yourself or not.
Right. I think it's really about, you go through an experience, you learn, and then you apply it and you grow in your next circumstance.
Have you heard of 3 loves theory?
No.
So supposedly you have 3 big loves in your life.
Okay.
So the first one is like your first love. You think it's going to last forever because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Second big one is like the toxic one.
Okay.
So that's the one that like really just like breaks you and you fall in love and it teaches you all the hard lessons. And then the third one is when you find your soulmate. But you can't find your soulmate until you go through the second one, because the second one teaches you what you actually want in a relationship.
Interesting.
And a lot of people think they want, oh, I want someone who's like obsessed with me.
Right.
And then they get in a relationship with someone who's obsessed with them and they're like, no, this kind of sucks actually. Like this is kind of annoying. I actually want someone who's independent. And it takes them that relationship so they're ready to meet their soulmate when they do meet their soulmate. Do you believe in soulmates?
I don't believe in soulmates.
Yeah, me neither.
I just think like the whole idea is centered around, the belief that there is somebody who's made and is already right for you. Somebody made for you. And I just don't think, I think love is a choice, and I think it takes 2 to tango, and you meet people where you are and you choose to learn and grow together, or you choose not to be together. But I think the idea of soulmates, it's too easy. And I do think it has a negative effect on the way that people date, because, we do have this abundance mindset with online dating where it's like there are so many fish in the sea. And if you're not perfect, if you don't check 100% of my boxes, I'm going to find somebody who will. And I think that goes hand in hand with the fact that so many people do believe that their soulmate is out there, and one day he'll just fall in my lap. And it's interesting because I think that rolls so closely with this scarcity mindset, where it's like you do explore a lot of those fish and you go out with so many people and then it doesn't work out, and you start to believe like, okay, there are millions of fish in the sea, but maybe there's nobody for me, And I think that's where we see so many people settle into relationships that aren't exactly what they want and sometimes aren't the most healthy, but we start making excuses for partners and we just stop putting in the effort to, respect ourselves more and find something that suits us better.
I think too, I don't like the idea of soulmates because it makes it seem like it's like a way to skirt responsibility.
Right.
Where it's like, oh, it's not that like I'm not good enough, I just haven't found the right person. But then I was like thinking about it, I'm like, how come like fat people always have fat soulmates? Like that doesn't make sense. Like statistically,
is that how it works?
What seems like, okay, all the like hot, successful people find their soulmate who is also hot and successful. And then like the fat people, like how come their soulmates are never hot and successful? You know what I mean? Like maybe it's because there's no such thing as soulmates, and the fat people are like, well, I'm not gonna get the hot successful person, so like I guess I'm gonna like marry the fat person,
So you're suggesting that it's possible that a liquid comes out of one human and goes into another human, and then a new human is created inside of that human, and then that human comes out of that other human and grows to become the exact size of the human that gave birth to it. But then somehow it's impossible that soulmates exist.
What does that have to do with soulmate?
I'm just saying the possibility of things. That
You believe
planets move around one star at the exact same
Yeah, but that's physics. I mean, that's just
physics.
yeah.
But it's possibility, you know? If somebody told you this when nobody was able to prove it, would you have believed it?
Yeah, but I have evidence to the contrary. That's what I'm saying.
You now do.
Hot people have a lot of soulmates. Ugly people don't have any. Why
That's
is
the
that?
evidence.
My evidence is my eyeballs in reality. You know?
That's also not
But it
true. Who
depends on
says
the
that?
perspective, because I think when we're talking about soulmates, it's more soul and less.
Soul doesn't know ugly or pretty.
But then why is it the case that the ugly people line up with each other and
What are your references? Are we talking about like
Real
fairy tale
life.
movies?
Yeah, I don't know. What are you
Like-
talking about?
look in the world? Like, okay, if you had a friend, right, that was
Okay.
like fat and ugly, you know,
If
and then all of a sudden that guy, and he had pimples all over, and like he played video games in his mom's basement. If you like went to your like high school reunion and he was with a supermodel, would you be like, what the fuck? How the fuck did that happen? Or would you be like, oh yeah, you know, soulmates, that comes in different sizes. You know, fat people can date whoever they want. Would you be like, oh, that's normal? Would you be like, how did that happen?
I'd walk up and give him a high five, but I also think, you know, like there's a potential that that won't last. You know, I don't think that that would mean that they were soulmates. I think it would mean that, you know, they had basic attraction towards each other.
No, but that's I'm saying like, that's why I don't believe in soulmates. Because why aren't there more cases of like the fat, ugly guy and then his soulmate's a supermodel? Why is never the soulmate of a fat, ugly guy a supermodel?
maybe because God thought that in order for soulmates to be soulmates, they have to be attracted to each other, and attraction comes from a place of being attractive.
Yeah, but
And so, so he just matched them up, just like he matched up the, I don't know, whatever, the guys being able to put it inside a woman and then woman giving birth. Like, I don't know why it happened. It just happened.
Yeah, but that would be contrary evidence to soulmates, because it seems like, oh, people like the people who are like in their league, not like, oh, people like each other because the universe has decreed that you will like this person.
There's a lot of average looking people that are with extremely attractive people.
Yeah, but even then, it's usually a reason. It's like, oh, they're average looking, but they're like a billionaire, or they're average looking,
But
but
you're
they're
taking
like,
away the part of the equation, which is they're still soulmates. But
That's
you're
up-
just finding reasons why they are. You suggest that the reason why I'm with my wife is because I'm attracted to her, and if she wasn't attractive, I wouldn't be with her. The reality of it is you have no proof of that.
I have no proof, Mo. There's no
You just
shot. There's no shot. If you met her and she looked, well, I'm not gonna say her names. If she looked like a different person on our friend group that was less attractive, there's no shot you would have dated her, even gone on a
We
first
just don't
date.
know this.
I do. I do.
You just don't.
I know you better than yourself. You wouldn't get past square one. Maybe you would have had your emotional connection would have been great. She would have been your best friend, and you guys fucking go
There's a
shopping
lot
together.
of, but I would use the same argument to the fact that there are a lot of attractive people who I'm attracted to, but they're not my wife. They didn't end up becoming my wife
Yeah,
because
of
of the
course.
fact that they're not my soulmates,
No, because you like their personality better. She has a better personality than the other
or
ones.
because she's my soulmate. I mean, it's just true. And believe me, she didn't believe it either. When I told her that we're soulmates, she was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're out of your mind.
That's because she's not delusional, gullible, and doesn't have the brain.
But
of a
now
small
she
child.
believes it. Now she says I was right.
Oh, well, you must have fucking manipulated her mind into it.
Maybe because she's 20 years old and her frontal lobe is not developed yet.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
Okay, so I'm kind of curious about this. Are you an only child?
I'm not. I have 2 younger sisters.
Okay, and how much younger are they?
One of them's about 2 years. The other one's 7 years younger.
Got it. And 7 years younger. Okay, so 13 and 2 years, so 18. And then your parents are still together.
They are not.
They're not. How long ago did they divorce?
Maybe like 8 or 9 years ago.
Okay. So you were like 11, 12.
About.
Okay. And then is your dad still in your life?
Somewhat.
Okay.
Are you trying to tell me I have daddy issues?
No, I'm trying to.
How can
He's
I
like
say it without
creeping towards me.
saying
He's like,
it?
you say it. You say it.
I'm trying to figure out if you do or not. It's hard to say because you seem mature for your age, obviously.
Thank you.
Which is why you gravitate towards older people probably. But it's hard, right? It's hard to establish whether or not some women do gravitate towards older people because they have daddy issues, or because they're mature and can't get along with a 20-year-old boy, right? Like that's probably more of it, but in your case, it might be just both.
I think my relationship with my father definitely has something to do with that. I think, like subconsciously, it's like because there's this void here, I'm looking to fill it in some way. But I do think another huge part of it is I have had a lot of trouble connecting with 20-year-olds. I think the sweet spot is probably like 30s. Mm-hmm. But sometimes, you ebb and you flow. You meet more mature people who are a little younger. You meet, cool people who are older. Sometimes the older people are super immature, and that, would result in incompatibility.
Sure, and be dating 5 other women at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I feel sorry for you guys. I feel like y'all's generation is cooked from
it's crazy.
Like every guy I meet is just like, oh, like very like, oh, he's just like sad and like, oh, woe is me, and like, it's like go fucking work. Like, what do you get to work? Like, I don't know. I was raised old school. Like, my dad is very like that type of old school father. So like all these participation trophies and like, you're great just the way you are. Like, not really. Like, maybe like go work on your, like go to the gym. Like Jesus.
Do your mom and dad not believe in soulmates either?
I've never asked them, but. I don't think they're dumb, so yeah, probably not. Probably not.
That is funny. It's interesting to me. I can't really. There's something that I can't get out of my head, which is that one girl reaching out to you guys. And you're saying that he was telling her everything.
Yeah.
About all the other girls. Did you ever ask her why he was telling her?
I think I knew he didn't have a lot of friends. Mm-hmm. He did have his best friend, which I do think this was his like one friend, lived in, I think LA. So it was a little bit far and he wasn't up here all the time. And I think he just felt comfortable around her, and
what was her
reason?
Sharing. What was her reasoning for doing this?
For reaching out?
Yeah.
She actually said that she unsent the message a couple of times, but she just felt guilty, I think, knowing that he was leading so many girls on. And
was that the actual reason? Like, do you believe that was the reason?
I believe that was the reason. Even if there was another reason, I'm happy that she said something, and if she wants him, he's all hers. But
it's just interesting to me when people do that. And especially in this particular situation where, he told her things in confidence. And I guess yes, every once in a while somebody wants to do the right thing, and that's understandable. But
right.
But I don't think that, it's an assumption, I suppose. But
well, to your point, what she did share about their relationship to me was he definitely treated her the worst.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I think at some point...
That's what I thought it was. And I was just like...
The glass definitely tipped, and she's like, okay, screw you.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Because I kept trying to think to myself,
like,
out of the goodness of her heart, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
I will say, though, like, it is ironic that he was actually the most honest with her.
Right.
And like you guys, he was kind of like leading on whether he said something, but he was actually honest with her. He's like, yeah, I'm seeing all these other girls.
I know. I am surprised that he told her.
Yeah.
Interesting. What would you describe as a perfect date?
As a perfect date?
For you, obviously.
For me, I don't know if I have a perfect date. I think like default first date is usually like coffee or beach walk.
I hate coffee dates.
Why do you hate coffee dates?
Oh, they're just the vibe is so like businessy and like
What's
it's like hard to get on good topics. I don't know why. I can sit with a girl at dinner and we're vibing and everything's great. And if I would have met the same girl at coffee, it would just been like,
Really?
like I don't know. I can't get on a flow.
It's interesting. We had another girl on the podcast last week and asked the same exact question, and she said dinner. She said, "Don't do coffee. I hate coffee dates."
Really?
So it's very interesting, the contrast between people, and it's just there's and this is what I always try to tell people, is that there's not one right answer,
right?
Because it's just so personalized.
But
totally.
coffee is definitely the wrong answer, though.
Hey. Okay, hear me out. It's nice because it's casual. The stakes are low. The guy is spending what, $10?
This is
on
why you
2
keep
lattes?
friend zoning all these guys. Because you meet them
Because
for
I keep
coffee,
doing
they're
coffee
boring
dates.
because it's a coffee date. Of course it's boring.
But you get energized. You get caffeinated. You know, it's a.
Yeah, you want to go get some work done. Get off of this date. Like,
I have a timer
I'm building
going.
shit,
I'm like,
you know?
okay, you're done.
Like, I
Well,
got
it's
my
nice
Pomodoro
too because
going.
there's no pressure. You know, you finish your coffees. If it's going well, you can go for a walk or you could grab lunch.
Drinks.
But
If
it's not going well, you just leave. Like, oh, we finished our coffees. But dinner, it's like you have to sit through a full meal.
Yeah,
you guys
like,
get stuff in your teeth.
If you said
They have to pay
if you
so much
said
money.
drinks instead of dinner, that would be an acceptable answer. But coffee.
But did you hear what she said? She said the guy would have to pay so much money.
Yeah, I'm thoughtful.
That is
very
That's what
thoughtful.
it is.
Yeah.
Very
Very
thoughtful.
thoughtful. Actually tries to look out for the guy that has no stake in the situation. No, I really appreciate that. I think it's very nice.
Well, I also think it's like, you know, if you invest in something, like you might get a little emotionally invested. And I think if, you know, the date doesn't work out and they spent X amount of money, there might be expectations for a second one. And I think it would be pretty disappointing to realize like, oh my gosh, I just spent a fortune on our dinner and I'm never going to see her again. And I'm going to do this again tomorrow with
very
somebody
empathetic.
else. I try.
No, that's good. That's good.
I do think though there's like, I'm kind of joking, but at the same time, I do think there's like situations where you meet somebody,
Right.
and if there's just drinking involved, both people will loosen up. Like maybe like the guy's kind of nervous, he doesn't like show his like full personality, or vice versa. Maybe the girl's a little closed off, and if they would have met over drinks, it's like now you're kind of loosened up, like you're a little more confident, and then you get past that first hurdle where it's kind of awkward. And you actually would have had a great relationship, but the coffee ruined it because it's like, then you're like more uptight, you know, you can't flow as well. I just feel like drinks is such a better, I don't know.
I think I disagree with that. I think drinks can be a really good idea, but I think it can also be pretty dangerous because I think people sometimes, you know, might go overboard and then, you know, they're a little too personal or
I mean, yeah,
a little
you gotta,
too
like,
touchy, and then it's just, you know.
yeah, but just don't go on dates with loser guys, you know. Have someone
It's
like
that
you know.
easy. It's that easy.
Yeah. I don't know how everybody doesn't just follow this advice.
Right?
Does height matter?
Just height? When you're looking at it on an app, I feel like yes. But then you meet them in person and it doesn't matter. It's weird. I definitely like taller men. Mm-hmm. I do. But I've gone out with shorter men. And it's, in its essence, no, it doesn't matter.
Okay. So how tall are you?
I'm
5'4"?
like 5'2".
5'2".
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So if a guy is 5'5",
If they had the right personality, I'd be all for it.
They better have a hell of a personality.
Initially, I'd probably be like, I know so many women who are, I mean, a lot of my friends are my height, and they date very short kings. And, you know, it's awesome. And I think, you know, if I got to know somebody, that would not matter. But I think initially I would definitely be like, oh, just because I'm not used to that.
Sure. So the suggestion then for the short kings is that they need to develop their personality as best as they possibly can in order to attract a woman.
And get rich, I think.
And get rich. I think everybody should develop their personality, but I think that would help anybody and everybody.
The reality of it is that women tend to, majority of the time, put up with bullshit when the guy is very attractive and very tall. and very rich.
You're looking at her, minus the rich, but
You just didn't happen to be rich.
well, it's funny because I don't know. I think a lot of us find people like that are our ideal physical types, and we project our ideal person onto them. And in that, like, we put them on pedestals, and we do, you know, we make excuses for them, and we accept a lot more than we would have with somebody else.
Yeah, because I think it comes down to the boxes, right? You have all these boxes, and if 3 out of 4, let's say, or 2 out of 4 are checked, and the ones that are not checked are things that could be developed, then people tend to have hope, thinking that, okay, well, I could fix this person, versus you can't fix somebody's height.
Right.
Well, not without pain and without a lot of money anyway. But right, like those are the things. Like if somebody's, you know, 5'5" and has a shitty personality, you're like, okay, my boxes are not being checked. That, like, it's just like, is this worth it? And the answer is no, majority of the time. But then if somebody's, you know, 6'5" and has a lot of money and is very good looking and just shitty personality, you're like, I'm gonna fix him.
Right.
And you just become the delusional person in that relationship. So it's very understandable overall. But okay, so do you think that women should submit to men when they're in a relationship?
Submit in what way?
Is there multiple ways of submitting to a man?
I don't know, just expand on it.
Meaning what is your definition of submitting?
I can think of a couple, like, just, I don't know if you're talking about like very concrete submitting, like, you know, following everything they say, like they are the leader and you're just kind of toddling around. Is that what you're
Well, I guess everybody has sort of their diluted definition, right?
Right.
But submission by definition means that when a man tells you to do something, you do it. That's what submission is.
I think in that context, no. I think there are situations where, you know, a woman should submit to a man, and in contrast, a man should submit to a woman. I think
in what situation does a man should a man submit to?
I think it comes down to respect, and I think if your partner is asking something reasonable of you, I think it would be reasonable to do that thing. But I think if they were asking something unreasonable of you, it would not be reasonable to do that thing. I think submission is a strong word.
Okay, so you don't believe that women should submit to their men?
I don't.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what it seemed like, because when a woman kind of, you know, is very hesitant to answer that question, majority of the time they just don't believe in the concept.
Yeah.
Right. Do you find yourself to be more dominant when it comes to your relationships?
I think that ebbs and flows. Like, I've found that it depends on the person I'm with. Like, in the past, when I have, like, historically, I've been with a lot of emotionally unavailable guys. And in those situations, like, I will literally assume the male role. Like, I'm organizing plans, you know, I'm reaching out. And there have also been circumstances where, like, I will be with a masculine man and he takes the initiative to do things, and it's great. So I think I definitely prefer that side of things where the man is more dominant generally. But, like, I'm also not opposed to making plans. Like, I think there's a balance.
I don't think there is a balance. I think there is what you're used to versus what you want. I think you want a dominant man, which naturally what every woman wants.
Right.
But then I think because of the fact that you're firstborn, you have 2 younger siblings, and you don't have your dad in your life, or didn't have your dad in your life from a very young age, you kind of developed this personality that you had to be more dominant. And so as a result of that, you're just used to it, and that's what you're comfortable with. And so you do end up attracting men who are unavailable as a result of the fact that you're just more dominant, and you end up taking control.
Totally. Well, I think I reinforce that too.
Sure.
You know, because you go out on a couple dates with them and you see, like, okay, I realize I'm the one kind of organizing these things and taking on that masculine role. And then you give them a second date and you give them a third date, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just like
hoping their masculinity is going to come out and realizing that they're just pussies.
Yeah.
Understandable. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I think that's a good way for you to recognize that, you know, the minute you're starting to control the situation, that person is probably not right for you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm starting to see. It's finally the realization is hitting me.
Would you marry a guy who's rich and very good looking? And let's assume that he has a great personality as well and treats you well. But he cheats on you all the time.
All of the time? That's a
sometimes
not so great personality.
No, but everything else is great. Or you have the option of being with a guy who's poor, has nothing, shitty looking, still good personality, sure, and never cheats on you, very loyal.
Was single an option?
No, it's not.
So I have to marry one of these two men.
Yes. There's only 2 men left on the planet, and you hold the future of humanity in your hands.
Well, this is tough. Well, there are only 2.
That's actually weird because when I came up with the story, he's cheating. Who is he cheating with?
That's kind of what I was like, wait a second. There are 2 men left. What do I do?
2 men and a bunch of women.
Well, I think I would have... Well, okay, if there are only 2 men left, I think I'd have to go with the poor one.
With the poor one?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Who creates the wealth in this society? It's the women.
No, the one guy has all the money and is just going to take all the women.
And all the ladies
so
are on the
streets.
streets.
You and this poor broke guy.
Although I guess in this scenario, if all the women just teamed up and decided not to recognize the value of money and go back to the barter system, then he would lose all his money.
I think that's what would happen. I think society would be healed.
Have you ever cheated?
No.
What define cheating, first of all?
There are definitely, I think, levels of cheating and different ways of cheating. I think you could cheat emotionally and you can cheat physically.
Mm-hmm. So what would you consider like where's the line for you? Is the okay, let's talk about the physical one. Is only having sex cheating, or is making out cheating?
No, I think making out is cheating. I think it's intention that really defines whether or not somebody's cheated.
But you can't prove intention.
You can't prove intention, but the actions give it away. You know, if you're making out with somebody, there is an intention there.
Okay, cool. So that's cheating. I want to find the line here. So is kissing somebody on the cheek cheating?
Well, it depends on the intention. Is it a friendly, like,
no
peck
idea.
on the cheek?
You can't tell.
You
just
tell?
see it. You just see it from,
Then
I don't know, a
I
photo, video, whatever.
I wouldn't define that as cheating.
Okay,
I think it would warrant a conversation, but
Sure. Emotional cheating. Where is that line?
I think just entertaining.
Okay. So if your boyfriend said to another girl, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful," is that cheating?
No.
Okay. If he said, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful, I would love to have sex with you," is that cheating?
No.
No, I'm just
Yes.
asking the question. Just want to clarify. Okay. Now, is it cheating if the girl is hitting on him?
No.
Okay. So what about if he says, I want to grab lunch with this girl, some girl that he knows she's interested in him, but he's not interested in her.
I mean, if they were friends, no, it's not cheating. If he's just entertaining it to entertain, I think that's more of a personality flaw. And I think...
You think it's a personality flaw if he wants to go...
Not necessarily
you could say yes.
flaw,
No, that's
but
totally fine if that's what you think.
I think it might change my perspective on that person a little bit.
Got it. So so you're pretty much open-minded. You just don't want your partner to think about another woman while in a relationship with you?
Well, I don't even think it's thinking about it. I think it's natural for us to be attracted to people and to think about other people. But I think it's like, because like I said, it's like love is a choice and partnership is a choice. And I think if you consistently choose somebody else over the person you're with, I think like in that sense, I think cheating would be the thing that would end that relationship.
Okay. Should you have access to your partner's phone?
I don't think it's necessary. I think if it's something, you know, both people are comfortable with and they're like, oh, here, I don't care. And, you know, both people hold up their phones. It's like, sure. But I think if you feel like there's a reason that you should have.
If your partner said, I don't want you to know my password or touch my phone.
I mean, that's a boundary.
Okay.
You know, if there was a reason.
You wouldn't think that that's automatic reason that he's doing something shady.
I would not. Okay. No. I think if I felt the need to have access to his phone, I think that would be, you know, the underlying reason. You know, like, okay, then he must be doing something shady. If I have this feeling that something's off versus him like just blatantly saying like, oh, you know, I don't think we should. Right.
Okay. Have you ever felt like that with anybody you've dated?
Like that I've wanted to check their phone or that there's
just felt like there's something. Yeah.
Definitely. It was it was the tall foreign boy. And it turns out the what?
The 7-month relationship.
The 7-month one. Yeah, it turns out he was still on Hinge and he was like messaging people. And I only knew because I deleted the app and then for some reason I just had this feeling that he was like talking to somebody else or entertaining something else and he wasn't open about it. So I was curious. So I re-downloaded the app and I saw that all of his pictures were updated.
Oh, shit.
It's like, that was such a lame move. You know, you could have at least like, I mean, I'm happy it wasn't a hidden thing, but come on. Like,
at least like use the same picture.
Yeah.
Like,
did you bring it up to him?
I did.
What did he say?
But I brought it up so indirectly. I was like, hey, my friend swiped on your Hinge and I saw that you're, you know, a couple of things were updated and I was just curious, you know, where that was coming from.
And he's so mature. He's the most mature people I've ever had on the show. Hey, excuse me, so just so you know.
Well, I think it's good not to assume that there was a negative intention, but I also think like there was definitely a big lesson I learned from this. And Jay Shetty worded it really well. He said, he was like, sometimes the right people say the wrong things. Sometimes the wrong people say the right things, but you have to trust patterns and not what people say. And I think in this situation, I had so much faith in what he said. Like after this situation, he responded in the same way he always did. It was, I hear you. I respect you. And I'm so happy that you felt comfortable talking to me about this. I just want you to know it's not what it looks like. It was more of a game for me. He called it, he called it an Are You Pretty game, just to see how many matches he got, I guess, which I still continued dating him for like another month or two.
Did he say it like that?
He said it like, that's how he talks.
Gay nowadays.
It's not even, it's a so attractive.
Actually. It's a very manipulative strategy in order to get the other person to feel.
But that's so gay. I hear you.
I don't think it's gay. I
think women
it's,
actually really much connect with it.
Because apparently. You feel respected and you do feel like they're listening and you notice that they're responding instead of reacting.
But can't you say it in like a not gay way?
I wouldn't call that gay. I think you can certainly word it differently, but I think, you know, the impact of that is it's heartfelt.
I think you're thinking that because you're reading it the way that she's saying it.
He doesn't have my voice.
I know, but it still seems like, I hear you. Like, I don't know. It just seems like
no, it could be I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, it does sound better when you say it.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta get ear surgery. That's okay. have imagination. Okay, so and then so you accepted that. You heard what he said,
right?
And accepted all the bullshit that he gave you.
Yes, I did.
And so what led to the breakup? And then when you broke up with him, what was his response?
So what led up to it was there was just this pattern of like, you know, we saw each other maybe like once a week And it felt like every time we got together, like there was something that I was like, hey, like we've talked about this, and this is something that's really bothering me. And I kept giving him outs. I was like, if this is not something that you feel you have the desire or the capacity to do, then I don't think this is right for us. And I just, like, I hope.
Did you ever have a conversation where you were in an exclusive relationship?
We did.
Okay.
It wasn't exclusive relationship. There weren't any labels. It was just seeing each other exclusively.
Got it. Okay. And how long through the dating process was this?
I want to say like 3 months.
Got it. So, and during the first 3 months, do you feel like you guys were seeing each other more often?
We were.
Okay. And then after the 3 months, it just kind of dropped off.
Yeah.
Was it after you had that conversation?
It was definitely
like around that. Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. Yeah. It seems like a pattern from guys who do have commitment issues, but also, he didn't want to be honest with where he was.
Right.
And so he then just started to kind of drift off a little bit and not have a communicative, time with you where he was kind of giving you the benefit of the doubt of just letting you hear him.
Right.
And so you just started to be shady and then just avoidant, really. Yeah.
It was an anxious avoidant loop,
Right.
and it just kept going in circles where it's like, I would accept those things. Like he would push away, but then, it would come back in a positive way and I'd be validated, and I felt validated. So I felt comfortable staying. And yeah, I think just getting sick of that is what led to me ending it.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like, it's okay for your partner to watch porn?
Totally. I mean, to each their own. I wouldn't want to hear about it.
Okay.
Necessarily,
so don't tell me.
Yeah, but do what you want to do.
Okay. So now that you're still on the app, yeah?
I am.
You're still on Hinge,
yeah,
and just kind of going about it. Do you feel like you should at all change the way that you're meeting men?
I think so. I've noticed over the last 2 months, I have not been using the app, even though my account's still on there and stuff. Every now and then I'll open it and then close it because it feels like such a chore. And I started dating at a really young age, and I, would go out with these people continuously, and it would always be a new person. And, the conversations get so redundant. And I think it's because there isn't always an intention behind going out with people. If you meet somebody in person and you guys click, it's like you set a date and the intention is for that to progress into something. And then I think to contrast that on dating apps, everybody has a different reason for being on there, and they're all looking for something a little bit different. And I've definitely made sure to have those conversations before I see people, but I've also noticed that the last few dates I've been on, I've just been sitting there I don't want to do this again.
Coffee. Stop doing the
it's
coffee.
It's not even coffee. I've tried dinner, beach walk. It's just it's all the same conversation.
I wonder if it's just because the guys are probably also going on a ton of dates. So they're kind of just after a while, they're just dialing it in. It's like, oh, so where are you from?
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, what do you do? Blah. They have the same little list of things to say. It's
literally, I swear to God, it's the same 20 questions over and over again. It's bizarre.
It sounds like a Black Mirror episode where you're on the date. It's robots, or some shit.
What was the youngest were you? Well, how were you ever under 18 when you dated somebody over 18?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think I was 17 and I was talking to somebody who was maybe 20, 19 or 20.
Okay. I mean, that's not that bad, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because I always wonder when girls are 16 or 15 or whatever and date somebody, who's like 24, 25, 26.
In San Clemente, you
I'm
always
just
have
30.
the military guys coming around, the like high school girls.
Oh, is that a thing?
That's
it's
a thing.
military
That's a
guys?
San Clemente thing because the base is in Oceanside right next door, and they're always in San Clemente on the weekends.
But they're hanging around the high school?
Well, they hang around like the main areas in San Clemente, and
Okay.
there are often like a lot of kids running around. And
But
they're
is it
just like,
because
"Hey."
you say kids like 20 years old? So these kids, do they look like kids, or are they just like kind of hanging out and then? Because okay, so I'll give you an example. Like I was driving, and I was like passing by Beverly High School, but I know where Beverly Hills High School is because my brother went to Beverly Hills High School, and so, but on the street, like few blocks down, I'm seeing like these like there's like two girls and a guy.
Okay.
But the girls and the guy look like they could be like 20, they could be 19, like whatever, they could be 18. So, sometimes you can't tell because like they don't look that young. Right. But then sometimes, obviously they do. They look like they're 14, 15 years old. So is it the situation where like these guys are hanging out there and they could tell that these girls are young, or is that like it's kind of ambiguous and they can't?
I think it's ambiguous,
Okay.
but I also hear of a lot of situations where it's like, they find out the girl's age and then they like
Continued.
Yeah.
Yeah. It always blows my mind when that happens. And I'm just like, are they not afraid of, just like getting caught itself.
Right.
It's just such a crazy like thing because you're going to be a sex offender for the rest of your life.
Totally. Well, it's just also interesting because, as you get older, the age gap doesn't necessarily matter as much. But I feel like at that age, it's just kind of like, something that you should not do.
Right.
And now they got all those YouTubers catching people and like putting them on blast. I'm like, aren't you scared of that happening too? Like you show up and fucking I show speeds there. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
How old do you think this girl is, man? We have your text right here. It's like, aren't you scared of that? I don't know. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy stuff.
It
these
is
days.
bizarre.
Yeah. Thank you for your honesty.
You're welcome.
Assuming that you were. Appreciate you being on the show. And I wish you all the best with your upcoming experiences of finding love.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.